Okay, Thursday morning, December 9th, we're going to go over some additional SQL functionality, finish out our coverage of the SQL query, the select statement. And one thing I alluded to this early in, I know I mentioned it at one point in time, that there's something that's a little bit like if then else logic in SQL. So, what we've pulled out have been now, straight columns or a kind of a calculated column based on, some math of one or more columns. But we haven't really done anything that does like an if, elif, else based on, so that we could put maybe things in categories, maybe like create a calculated column that would be more like a lumping things, below 20 into a category called low, and between 20 and 40 into a category called medium, and then deriving that on the fly in a SQL statement. So that is what the SQL case statement does, and it embeds. Next slide. Good. It embeds in a select statement, just like an if, elif, else in Python. Um, and it literally takes the place of a column in your select statement. You can select column 1, column 2, and then a super complicated case statement, column 3, column 4, and that super complicated case statement may look big on the page, but it resolves down to a single column. And the way a case statement works, it's similar to the if, elif, else. Once it meets a condition, it stops checking the other conditions that you have. You can have multiple case this, else this, else this, else this. But once it finds one, it just like every other if else structure, it stops checking. And if there's no else part and no conditions are true, it returns a null value, as you would expect. So we'll have a couple of examples of that. The first one you can follow along with in Workbench if you would like to. It will almost certainly goof up when you cut and paste. I think I have this already cut and paste into Workbench. But here is an example of what I'm talking about. So very, very simple example with only two legs, two conditions really. So there are credit hours. All the courses in our Northwoods University example are either 3 or 4 credit hours. So say I wanted to calculate a text field that said long course or short course based on that, just as a simple example. This is how you would do it. Your case statement goes in the select statement as a column name, as being a keyword and a good way to describe it. So what I've selected here from course is the course name and then a calculated column called course length. There is no column called course length in the table. I'm creating it on the fly. Just like when we did calculations and functions on Tuesday. Remember when we selected the max or min or average or something divided by 2 or whatever, it creates that column. And we we don't really need an alias here because you'll create the alias in your as statement here as course length. So I'm selecting course name, and then you use this case when are the keywords, and credits is a column. So case just kind of sets up like a, the whole block of the conditional logic. Case, when credits equals 4, then you don't have to, like in Python, you would normally say then a variable equals long course. But in the SQL syntax, it knows what you're talking about here. You are just putting a value here. It can be, depending on the type, it can be a string literal, or it could be a numeric value. You would decide based on what you need that calculated column to be. And this can be multiple legs, and I've got more examples that show a few more conditions, but you can have as many um, else's as you need, as many legs, and then you end the case statement, or this is all, remember, this is all just a column. All of that I've highlighted resolves to being a column, and you end that structure with this end as, and then the name, and then you go back to your from, just like nothing ever happened. I think I have this. Any questions on that so far?
Nope.
Makes sense. Makes sense looking at it like it.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, I appreciate it, guys. It's teaching over Zoom is not anything I would wish on my worst enemy. It's really tough knowing if you're going too slow or too fast, or if anyone's even listening. So here we have it. I think I have this in Workbench. If not, I'll paste it over there. Yes. Coincidentally, that was the last thing I was working on. Okay, so here we have it in Workbench. I have calculated that if there are, hang on just a second. Yeah, if there's 4 hours, I want to make it called long course. Otherwise, it's short course, because I know by business rules that 4 hours is the longest course I'm going to have. So if it equals 4, then we're going to return long course, the string long course for that row under the column course length. Otherwise, all else wise, we will return short course, no matter what anything else equals. And then, yeah, you run that like I did down there. So we've got intro to info. See, you notice I did not select the credits, and you don't have to, but you can. There's no reason not to. So if I want to, and also look at the credits, and you need a comma, whether it's, like we had course name in the original query, you need a comma and then the case statement, because it is treated syntactically just like a column. So here we can just confirm that all of my 3s that say short course and all of my 4s say long course. But then, I mean, it is just a select statement. So what if I wanted to sort by my new column that I created in the case statement? What would I put? Hampton.
I'm here, but I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Well, that's what we're here for. If I wanted to sort this, say I had multiple things under that course length, how would I sort that list?
I'm not sure.
Well, what's the keyword to sort a query?
Order by.
Okay. What's next, Hampton?
Then you select, no, you've already selected where you're bringing the data from. Order by. Are you selecting how you want it sorted?
Yeah, I want to sort it by that that new field that I made in the course statement, in the case statement. Beg your pardon.
Not sure on this one.
Okay, so we just say order by the, and you can use that new column in any subsequent part of the query. I think. See if I prove myself wrong. So if we wanted to sort by that that case statement, yeah. So we can add that order by. So this case statement, I'm just kind of building more stuff around it. So see, this case statement is just a column. That's all it is a column that you build with if then else logic.
Okay.
And I've got, cool. So I've got some more examples, but I want to do a couple of things here. I need to go into Canvas and upload a file. There is another Skywalker. There is a is it this one? What's it called? It is called MySQL Northwind ERD. MySQL Northwind ERD. Is it in Northwind materials? Yes. Okay. So I'm uploading another one of those table diagrams that is a diagram based on this Northwind database that you have in MySQL. Because we'll be playing with that a little bit before we close out for the holidays. So that's what that that file that I just added right there, that's what that is. It is this, and it's a more complicated database that will allow you you rock stars to do more joins. It's got more sample data and whatnot, a good bit more than our Northwoods database. So that is there for your use, and it really helps to zoom it in, or I've actually printed it out. And you can see some of the relationships here. And I know it looks like spaghetti with a bunch of lists, but each one of these lines shows a relationship between a column in that table and a column in the other table that it's linked to. So that it's what this database is a sample company database called I think they're Northwind Import Export. So they're a company that imports and exports products. So Northwind has you'll see in the top center here, Northwind has employees, Northwind has customers. There are suppliers down here. Um, uh, there's shippers. I want to say there's a product, products table down here that can be shipped by different shippers within an order. I'm sorry, products can exist in an order, and an order is shipped by what could be different shippers, and so it gets all nice and crazy, and linked and intertwined. But it's fairly realistic with what you would be dealing with in a company database. Now, I'm not even even going to go to great length with this thing, but I just wanted to kind of describe it. They're it's very similar to the Northwind version that is used at W3 schools, and I've seen it on Stack Overflow. I've seen it on Microsoft training sites. So it's very common training database out there that I thought it would be useful to have some awareness of. So that's our Northwind database that you have access to. I downloaded all the scripts and created it, and you've got it here. If I expand out the tables, you'll see those 16, 18, whatever it is, tables match up with the entity relationship diagram. So I say that in order to pop us over to W3 Schools, which again is my favorite MySQL tutorial. W3 Schools. It's that little w3schools.com/MySQL. That's your target URL. And it works great. It lets you edit queries and run the results. And the database, the MySQL database, you can see on the right side of my screen now, it's a much abridged version of the full-on Northwind database that we have access to using Workbench. This one has the core tables, and the naming sequence is a little bit different, so you can't necessarily you got to look at the table names in the version I'm hosting versus the one on W3 Schools, because the table names are going to be a little bit different and the columns are going to be a little bit different. But this gives you an idea of, you have customers. Northwind Traders has employees. They have products, orders. You have shippers that ship the orders. So there's a lot of informational, useful techniques that you can practice with this database. And they go through, if you start at the MySQL root page, it's a tutorial that goes through everything we've covered, and it could give you a different perspective, because you're seeing it more than once. You're seeing it in more than against more than one data set. So I'll make that plug. So back to how we do 10 more minutes for the first hour. So here's our very most simple case statement, using our very familiar Northwoods database. And if we pop over to MySQL and double click on Northwind, that makes the Northwind schema, it's called, that set of tables that's kind of segregated from our Northwoods University. If you double click on it, it makes those tables, or that schema, the active schema. So if I do this now, if I run that same thing I just did, it should barf. Table Northwind.course doesn't exist. because the query I wrote wasn't intended to be written against North Wind. It was against North Woods. So make sure you got the right schema. It should be bolded in Workbench. Okay, so here is using the North Wind example. And again, this is in Workbench that you can use too, I believe. We're going to assign a level of service based on the job title, and it might be occurring to you, or you might have, if you've got experience with this, that creating this column on the fly in a SQL statement is also something that you could do and store it permanently in the database. But what makes it a useful tool in your SQL tool belt is that if the rules change for how you do that, you don't have to go back and however large your database is, you don't have to go back and repopulate that, and you don't you don't have to submit. I beg your pardon. You don't have to ask for a database change, which may be impossible. It may not even be your data. So using a case statement to generate a column is a useful alternative. So again, because cutting and pasting these tends to goof up the formatting. I think I have this in one of these tabs. Let me look. This is our service level case statement. Let me see what I got here. Yeah, on my first tab. Took me a little bit of time this morning to get it polished up and working. So in this case statement, I'm concatenating first name and last name and calling it name, just like we've done that a bunch of times before. That's just creating an alias for a complex calculated column, or combination of two columns, actually. So we're aliasing that so it doesn't show up as like right now it's nice and pretty. It says name, right? Well, if we got rid of that real quick and ran it, you get a column name of concat first name, comma, so yeah, column aliasing going to be a good friend of yours if you're generating data using these select statements. So that's all we have is a column alias there, and then we're selecting the company column and the job title, and then a case statement, which is just a column, right? It's just syntactically, it's no different than putting comma service level out here syntactically, and then just get rid of the case statement, because it all resolves to being a column. And then you need the comma, remember, comma after job title. So now we have this case statement, and our condition is job title. So we have multiple whens, which are almost like, the first case when is the if, the next when is the elif, and then we have an else. So it's similar to the structure of an if, elif, else, or an if then else leg if you use that in another language. Very similar. So when job title, and you can see down here in our result, job titles are things like owner, purchasing representative, accounting manager, accounting assistant, that sort of stuff. When job title equals owner, then our service level column that we are calculating is going to be priority. When job title equals owner, then priority. When the first 10 characters equals purchasing, so they're a purchasing anything, a purchasing agent, a purchasing manager, a purchasing representative, purchasing clerk. We don't care. When the first 10 characters, and that's what this substring function is, one of the many built-in functions with SQL, like we covered on Tuesday. It returns the first 10 characters of job title. And then when that equals purchasing, then we set the return value to urgent. So we got one condition where it's priority, another condition where it's urgent, and then no matter else, whatever else happens with job title, we're going to return routine as the value for service level. Any questions on any of that?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward, right? If you get the syntax right. Okay, so we're selecting that all from customers. So I'll run it again. Oh, it was already run. There we go. So you can see down here that we've created the service level column based on what's in job title. And here we have owner, purchasing, a bunch of different purchasing stuff. Purchasing manager, purchasing rep, purchasing assistant. So it you can see it lines up, works like a champ. And then it's just a select statement. It's just a column. So you can order by, group by, count. That'd be a good. While we got 2 minutes. Let's try it. What if I wanted to count like the number of priority folks that I have? How would that work? Count of service level. So I would need a group function. I may look at that on the break. I don't know that I want to put you guys to sleep, but if I wanted to count the number in these different service levels so that I knew, like, oh my goodness, I've got 70 priority, because you don't want to do it on the original job title math. You could, but once you've got this calculated, I'm curious if we can select the count and kind of group it that way. I'll try that on the break. Speaking of which, 9:15. Let's head back at 9:30. Well, I am really glad that my microphone was muted. Otherwise, I would have just yelled in your ears. You would have heard the sound of a nerd triumphing over SQL. Yes! I'm telling you, man, I am I'm such a nerd. And I fought it for so long. But no, I just might as well just accept the fact. I got it figured out literally 10 seconds before I turned the camera back on. I learned, like I said, I wish I worked with this stuff all the time and was more fluent in it. Over the years, I've seen a lot of this stuff, but I just don't work with it all the time. So I have to learn and forget and relearn and struggle. And anyway, let me show you what I got here. So my question was, going back to the original case statement here where we did service level. I said, well, gee, wouldn't it be nice to know how many urgents and routines and priorities that we have, rather than just a long list of them. And you could pull this into a pivot table, pull it out into Excel and into a pivot table. But sometimes you need the stuff to come up in SQL so that you can continue working on it in SQL. So it's good to know how to manipulate and get what you're looking for within the tool you're working with which the tool in with which you are working. So I wanted to know a count of this service level, and I found out that you can't use service level in any other way in the select statement. You can use it down here, like you can like here, I'm order by service level. You can do that, but you can't refer to service level. Like I can't select count of service level in this query. And I think that's because service level doesn't really exist as the query operates and the way it constructs things in order of operations of SQL. I don't think service level actually really exists until the select statement is fully constructed. So you can't use, at least that's what it was telling me, is you can't use service level. It's an unknown column inside of the select statement. Like I tried to do, for example, what if I wanted service level and then the first two characters of service level, for just as an example, starting with the first character, give me two characters. I want to say that column service level, unknown column service level in field list. See down here in my error message where the red X is down here where my cursor is. It doesn't like using that derived column from the case statement inside of the case statement. So I thought about it, and is there a way to do like a subquery that would count all that? So I remembered my good old group by that we learned on Tuesday, and I wrote, I cut and pasted that other query into here, and then just started hacking down to what I really want. So I've got count of job title. Remember, count of star gives you anything in the table, all records. Count of a field will eliminate nulls. It won't count if for some reason there was a job title field that was null. It wouldn't count it. So I selected the count of job title, and I probably could have used anything else, but that's what service level is based on. So I thought that was the most logical thing to put there. Count of job title, and then I calculated service level just like I did before in the block here in the case level from customers. But then remember, the group by lets you lets you create a subtotal for how how many of a certain thing there are, like a department. If you had like a column for an amount, a column for a department name, you could total up all the amounts that equate to the purchasing department or the accounting department or whatever. So that's what your group by is good for when you're doing a group function like count. but you're also doing a single row function or just a regular column. Then you group by the non-group column. So that's how this works. I'm counting the number of job titles, and then I'm calculating the service level based on the first 10 characters of their job title, or their, some conditions of their job title. But then I group by service level, and I'm not even, you'll notice I'm not displaying all the service levels because I'm grouping by them. So here we can tell that we have 6 priority, 3 routine, and 20 urgent. So you probably need to change your calculations, I would think, if you got that. And then, it's just a select statement. It's just a group by. So I think we put order by afterward, but that's also in my presentation here. I'm trying to remember. It matters. Order by service level. And you notice it's not a database column, so it doesn't pop up in the list. It's in the code here. So service level doesn't pop up as a, and order by goes after the group by. Okay, so that, like I said, I had to let my dog outside and kind of walk around and think, and what in the world am I just want to know how many of each of those I have. And that popped into my head right before about 9:26. I'm like, ah! And sure enough, it worked. I was so happy. I'm so happy. Anyway, any questions on that before I move on? Or anybody dying to edit it around and see what happens? Or, I mean, that's how I learn. Goofing around with this stuff, breaking it and then fixing it. Okay, having enough fun with SQL. Okay, so like we said, for the case statement, service level could be stored as a database column, but it sometimes you don't have control of the database, and you can't add a column, so you have to derive it on the fly, and it's flexibility. Because the rules for that calculation could change. It could get more complicated, and you'd constantly be going in and doing database changes when it's really easier to mess with the code than it is the structure of the database. Okay, so that's a case statement. I wanted to switch over to the website I introduced a little bit earlier. Case statement. So if we go back here, this is the W3 Schools MySQL tutorial. MySQL Home gets you started. Like I said, if SQL is in your future and anything is unclear, or you just want more practice, it's a great resource. So I wanted to use their example of and Jim, this is kind of the 30 words. These select, where, and, order by, insert, update, delete. Yeah, that's kind of the idea that my these slides actually originated. I've modified them here and there, but they originated with my my colleague at the College of Business at UCA, Dr. Jim Downey. And that's what Jim meant by that, is about 30. And it, depending on what you call a keyword and, how you, or a built-in function. So there is, here it is. If you just wanted to get more familiar on one of these things, like what in the world is this inner join? There's a section on it. If you wanted to get better on that group by, you remember there's a way to summarize and pivot table kind of stuff. You just go to the section here in the left-hand column, and it's got an example, and then it'll have a code window where you can actually goof around with it just like you can in Workbench, only again, it operates on their abridged version of the Northwind database. So I wanted to use this to show you something with the case statement, which is what we're covering this morning. There it comes. Okay, and it gives you the basic, what it's good for. It gives you the basic syntax of the command or the clause. So you get basic syntax template there, and then it gives you some sample data and a sample utilization of that functionality in MySQL. So in this example, in our order details table, you got an order ID. The detail ID is the primary key, and there's one. Each order detail ID will be unique, and in order ID there may be more than one. The order ID may repeat in there because you're going to have more than one, more than one line item on an order. So that's how that works. But the case. So here is another very simple case statement where the quantity of an order is greater than 30, then we say the quantity is greater than 30. And when it equals 30, then we say the quantity is 30. Otherwise, all other cases, the quantity must be under 30, right? If you write your logic in the correct order, you can depend on that else clause being correct, and that if it didn't satisfy the first two, then it must be under 30. And then you have your end as, and that's the name of the column that you have derived, and then you're from what table. So this whole case, from the word case to the end of quantity text, is just a column. And here's the cool thing about W3 Schools is you click this try it yourself, and it pops up. And it does the same thing with Python. It's same exact syntax, try it yourself, and it'll pull up a Python interpreter. So here, and I have not seen it have a bug yet, but when it says try it here and you click run SQL, it executes and it does not error, and it copies over and does and everything, and it works just fine. So here is the result, and you can see 12, it's under 30. I want to say there's one in here that is 30, I thought, to test that leg of the. Is there not? There it is. The quantity is 30. There we go. But you can see the case statement works, the logic works. And there was something I was doing that I thought I wanted to. Oh yeah, I wanted to. Where were we before? Yeah, I wanted to see how you got order ID is repeating here. So you've got line items in this order details table. A line for each line item, a record, a row for each line item in an order. So the order ID repeats here, right? So I saw that, and being the curious looking person that I am, or curious person that I am, I wanted to count them together. So this was early this morning. Can I? It won't let me. Doggone it! If I could expand that window, that'd be really good. But so what I've done here is selected the order ID and the sum of the quantity, because so then in my case statement, and this took me, 10, 15 minutes to learn. So you can use a group function in the case statement. And then you repeat that group function in your math. So I wanted to know if the entire order quantity was greater than 30, not just each individual line item. So I'm selecting the order ID and then the sum of all the quantities for that order ID, and using the sum instead of just the individual quantities inside my case statement. Same math, same numbers, same everything. Only 30 it's not going to trigger anywhere near as many. Let's change this after I run it once. I've run it before. You can see down below. Let me change that to 60. If it's greater than 60. And we have a 60, so I'll make it equal 60. The quantity is greater than 60. Quantity is 60. The quantity is under 60. Okay, so now my output messages match my mathematics. But down here, the group by order ID is you've got to have that, because remember, if you are selecting a non-group function and a group function, you've got to group by the non-group function or the multi-row function, row level function, or just the column, the column that is not grouped. Okay, so so selecting order ID, the sum of the quantity, and then this calculated case statement thing, all works. Well, it worked when it was 30. Let's see if I goofed it up. Run SQL. Bam. There we go. It works. Yeah, the quantity is 60. The quantity is under 60. The quantity is greater than 60. So that's kind of an example of the case statement, but then also using group functions within that case statement. So, and guys, I think this is getting to be pretty pretty good, pretty complex SQL, or at least beginning, entering into intermediate SQL. So if it's not making sense at first blush, please don't despair. Are any of you writing SQL at this level? Paul, you had said you use SQL every day. Are you doing case statements and stored procedures and common table expressions and subqueries and all that kind of stuff? Paul, you still with me? Hey, Paul. Colton,
Yep.
You're a SQL user, are you not?
I know SQL. I do not use it for my current job.
You don't put it in your current job. There you go. That's frustrating. You learn a skill and then it comes and goes. So anyway, there is an example of the case statement. And I wanted to hearken back to what we were doing on Tuesday, which was summarizing. You'll notice now order ID does not repeat because we're grouping by it, right? Just like you'd expect. If it did repeat, there'd be something way wrong. Okay. And then I have just another couple. We've looked at this before, but it's not just a way to do a full outer join, which we covered last week. The union statement, all it does is really like in memory uh, combine queries really into like one big table or one big set of results. Um, so when you do a union, just like we did for the join, you've got to use the same number of columns, so that, I mean, you can't have a mismatched matrix with the wrong number of columns and rows. They've got to have similar data types, although I haven't yet broken it with these different data types. But I mean, honestly, if you think about it, if you've got two different tables with like addresses in them, you can union them. And yeah, the columns have to be in the same order so that you don't mix and match it. So what this is good for is if you have data in maybe separate tables, you can join them and line things up with the at like an outer join, or if you have a, similar columns in two different tables, you can kind of merge the tables somewhat. Or if you just, like I said, if you just had like an address field or a phone number field in one or two or 10 different tables coming in, like for example, my son works with data coming in from 19 different stores. It could be that you just want to look at one column of all 19 of those all in one list, and look for problems, maybe look for bad data or the wrong format or nulls or anything like that. So that's what a union does. And there's a good example of it right here. Back to our Northwoods database. So I'll go back to Workbench, and I will double click on my Northwoods schema to make sure that my queries work. So now that's in bold. So now we're back to Northwoods being the active database. And all we're selecting here is the faculty last name and the student last name from two different tables. So all it's going to do is give us a single column, but it is the fields from both tables. And by default, union selects distinct rows. So if you want duplicates, use union all. I'm going to have to test that. I don't know that we have a student with the same last name as a faculty. So let's play with this a little bit. Let's see what we get. Okay, give me a new tab, and I will start out with the first one. So what are our last names? They look unique. Okay, and then our last names of our students: Blanchard, Baines, Cox, Williams, Sheng, Brown, Culture, Boston. If somebody remember all that, let's see if we have a repeat over in the student table. S last from student. Thank you for the pop-up window, Workbench. Miller, Umato, Black, Mobley, Sanchez, Conley. I can't remember. Was there one of those in the other list? And this is bad format. Was there one in both lists? Sanchez. We could check. We could write a join that sees if there's an equal. I don't see a repeat. I don't see a repeat. I see 6 students and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 faculty. So if we combine those, just like it did in our PowerPoint, we should get 14. It would be interesting to union stuff that we know repeats. So we'll hang on just a minute here. So that will pull all of the faculty last names and then all of the student last names and append it as one long list. 6 and 8 equals 14. 14, yes. So I'm curious, and I just read it thoroughly enough. I should have come up with a union all, but I'll get to it eventually. So yeah, by default, it's like a select distinct, because it's default behavior. So here we have another operator here, exists, and this is I want to say similar to it's a subquery function. So it exists. It tests for the existence of anything being returned in a subquery. And remember, when we did subqueries, we used 2 operators. We used in if we wanted to check to see if a value was in a list, and our subquery was intended to possibly return or definitely return multiple values. So we said in because that's how you check against a list of multiple values. And if our query was going to return, and we were sure it was going to return one value, we use the equal sign. Like especially if like your subquery selected the maximum of something or the average of something, you know that a group function like max or average is going to return a single value for that column. So in the subquery, you used the equal sign. Well, exists is sort of like that, but it's just checking to see if the subquery returns something or not. So like I said, our good buddies at W3 Schools have a good example, and I'll pop back over to that. And I will, this was the try it window, try it editors, what all these tabs will be called. And when you know you've got your main, which is the over here at the W3 Schools. So we wanted to look at exists. Okay, and just like once you get used to the syntax of or the format of this W3 Schools, it's super easy to follow. Test for the existence of any record in a subquery, and it returns a true. So you use it like a Boolean expression, like if A is greater than B, that will resolve to either true or false. So you select column name from table name where exists, and then you have a subquery. And if that subquery returns rows, then it will resolve to true. Okay, so here is our demo database. We'll be using the products table, and you notice it's got a primary key of product ID and a product name, but we can get what do you call it? The supplier as well, and then there's a category of what it is, like a dry good or it's over in the category table. Okay, so here's our suppliers table, If supplier ID is 1, that's exotic liquids from London. Supplier 2 is New Orleans Cajun delights, typically or appropriately down in New Orleans. So here's our example. We want to know our suppliers that have a product price of less than 20. So we're selecting supplier name from suppliers, where exists, and then your subquery is what's pulling out product names from products where and linking with the supplier table, and the price of the product from the product table or products table is less than 20. And when you try it yourself, run it. And get a little bit of hourglassing. It usually runs quicker than that. How's my audio, guys? Am I having trouble again? Or is my connection sound strong?
No, sounds good.
That's weird. It doesn't usually hourglass that long. Let me try the other one. I think there's another example. Yeah. Yeah, here's one where we're looking for if they have suppliers that have a product that is exactly 22. So I'm curious if it could be something going on with the back end. Run that SQL. It could be Amazon Web Services. You know, they had a big outage the other day. Huh. Well, ain't that a hoot? Well, anyway, I think you guys get the gist. And again, that's getting to be sort of next level writing when you're working with subqueries. And I need to update my lesson plan and put this in with the subqueries lesson, because it's kind of the third major way that you use subqueries as a conditional in your where clause. All right, exists. And I think I got one more. Yeah, the limit operator. Sometimes, you select something, order by whatever, and you get, a bajillion rows. We don't have that problem in Northwoods, but there's a few records in Northwind. But anyway, let's just for example, we'll go back to my Northwind database here, and I will select everything star, select all columns from, actually, let me real quick make sure that Northwind isn't goofing up. Where is that? Where'd it go? Limit. There we go. We've got a bunch of data in one of them. Let's see what they use. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, if you've got like order details, there's 2,155 order details. There's 830 orders. And if you wanted to select, if you select star from order details, it will return all of that. But if you only want like the top 10 of something, let's select star from orders. See what we get here. Oop, it's got to be capital, case sensitive. Run it. Bam, 830 records returned. What if we only want, like, say, so we're going to order by, select from orders, order by, and we want the oldest orders. Let's say there's a good one. Order date, order by order date. And then we can say limit 10. And if we want the oldest ones, it sorts by old to new, old to new. So these 10, let me look at what this looks like real quick. These 10, it won't be the oldest. So we need to order by order date descending to get the actual, right? Or is that wrong? No, yeah. It by default, the ascending gives us the oldest order in the database is July 4th. So, if you're doing a report, sometimes your leadership only wants to look at a certain amount of whatever. Limit will limit the number of rows that come back from the database, which is really handy. There's no other way to do it. Sometimes you don't want 10,000 records returned. That can be really good if you're just pulling up like some test data and you only want 1,000 rows to mess around with. Use that limit clause. Limits the number of rows returned. And you don't have to sort it. That's just an example of where you might want to look at the top, whatever, top 5, top 4, top 10, top 100. And there we go. Limit clause. Okay, and now I think I mentioned, golly, lose track of time. What is this? Is this Thursday? It is Thursday, right? Yes. Either Tuesday or late last week that it gets to be a lot of these clauses and they need to be in order. And so I Googled it up because I don't have this memorized. It's like a, see, this is the order that they are processed. Now that I'm looking at it more closely. So this is the order that the clauses work on the data and slowly but surely shape it. And it seems to be in the right order with the exception of select, which we know comes first. But now that I look at this closer, this is the URL. You guys have the slides here that I grabbed this graphic out of. But it gives you an idea of how the different clauses in the select statement, how they operate in order on each other, so that the having comes after group by in the language, but it also works on the group by like a where clause. So there you go. But this makes me want to say there is a what I really intended more was there's a sequence of all of these, select columns from these tables where this equals that, group by this having that, and then your order by goes, and then your limit comes last. But I wanted to say there's a better graphic. I'll look for it some other time. Okay, so any questions on any of those final things there? Or anything at all? Because I want to go on break and then I want to come back and play. I want you guys, each of you, to come up with a query challenge that we will work on together. And I know some of you don't particularly like to come off the mic and talk. But the the lack of interactivity is getting me down. So that's what I want to do next. Stop sharing that. Is actually work on some queries. So the Northwoods is the database we've been using the most, and that's the one that had query problems 1 assigned to it. If there's, I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask everybody to ask me a question. If you don't need help on it, and it's something that we can work through next level together, great. Really don't want to put any limits on it. If it's something super complicated and we can't figure it out in 3-4 minutes, I'll take it for action. But if you could maybe write down what you're looking for so that you can paste it into the chat and I can put it into the into Workbench and use it in front of me for instructions. Okay, so we'll come back at 10:30, and that is that's your assignment for the next 18 minutes. Stretch your legs and come up with some sort of either help you need or an example of something that you'd like to see, or just a brain teaser challenge for me to execute in Workbench against Northwoods, or we can try the Northwind database if there's something there that you think is pretty cool. And I will see everybody back at 10:30. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I've never done this before. Volunteered to be the chump. So Jim, can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Jim. Big John. Big John. Jim, can you hear me? Okay. Gotta love Zoom.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am, Jasmine. What can I do for you?
Is it okay to ask for the example question here? Can it be one from the assignment? I've been wanting some help with number 11.
Absolutely. And I may or may not be able to help. So we'll toss it. Number 11. Let's see here. I'll go find that.
Chat.
I will go find. That is from SQL Query Problems 1 against good old. Okay. I'm not going to look at my canned solutions because that would be no fun. Okay, so let me share my screen here. I went to the file. Share my screen, share my screen, share my screen. Okay. All right. So I went in and grabbed the assignment. Grabbed the question from number 11. And I'm gonna chop it down a little bit here and put it into a comment. This might be an easier, a decent way for you guys to go about it. I kind of like doing this kind of like a Jupyter notebook where you have the assignment in a markdown cell and the code cell underneath where you're trying to solve it. Okay, so we're going to select distinct student last name, day of course, and the term description for all courses that are taught on either a Monday or a Wednesday. Okay, so the way I go about doing these things is I build it. Oh, and then we want to sort by term description. So I would start out by, of course, with my select statement. I know I'm going to want student last name, which is, I know by memory, is S_last. Okay, and that's it. And then I'm going to want the day of a course. So let me go over to the Northwoods database. And I'm pretty sure that's in the course section table. Yeah, the section day, CSEC day. We'll find out. C_sec _day. And the term description. So we're going to want the description from the term table. And the term table column for that is term, how appropriate, term _ description. So you see how I'm doing this, right? I'm going and finding the data. I'm not worried about what table it's in or linking or anything like that yet. I'm just pulling these things from the columns that it tells you to display. So you build that first. Let me see what we got here. So next I would do, I guess, my from student, and would we get a course section? Yeah, course section. And term was the last one that we used, right? Any condition. Okay. So let's see what we get there. That's going to be one of those, giant Cartesian join things that gives you too much stuff. Yeah. So you see, we've got all of this repeating: Miller, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Miller, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, fall, the different terms, and all of that sort of stuff. So let's go ahead and work on this that are taught on either a Monday or a Wednesday. And the way we would do that is when the first character is an M. Do we have any WFs? I don't think so. We got Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday. Yeah, we can't count on the W being in the middle. So we got M, T, W, R, F. So we have unique characters. So that might be a way to do the where clause. Let me think about that for just a sec. So let's say where M, which is code for Monday, in CSEC day. I don't know that this will work. This is how I do it. Where M in CSEC day, and then I want to do an or. It's already telling me something goofy. Let's see, where M in CSEC day, or W, right? Wednesday, or W in CSEC day. So what am I doing? It's already telling me I'm goofing up here. You have an error in your syntax. So let's get rid of the one where it won't let me I can't use an in a column. It's got to be a list. And I want to know the CSEC day. So could I say where CSEC day, and we know that we've got or CSEC day, what else what other value would indicate a class that's taught on a Monday or a Wednesday? Oop. Equals. What other, Jasmine, what other value for CSEC day would indicate that a class is being taught on a Monday or a Wednesday?
Are you asking for the combination of letters that's listed?
Yeah, there's a few different, it's either a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, a Monday, Tuesday, an everyday class, or a Tuesday, Thursday class. I think those are the three, right?
Oh, is it solely Monday, Wednesday though, or do you want all the ones that include other days as well?
No, it says either a Monday or a Wednesday. So we don't want any classes that are taught on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Friday.
Okay, well, I'm confused then because you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday up there, so I'm not sure where you're going.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So those. What am I doing wrong here?
Just a thought. Could you maybe use wildcards instead?
I could. Let's see. I could use
Like
that's got an M anywhere in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something with going wrong with my my or here syntax, Paul. So let's use wildcards for Monday, or it has a W in it. That's a good suggestion. That's more elegant. But what am I doing wrong with my or there?
I would be using a like instead of an equal sign.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't have a like. That's what's wrong with it. I'm missing my like. Okay, so that will now pull out everything that we had before, and we're not limiting the data yet. We're not limiting or joining the data yet. So there's your where clause. Let's run that. So now we're only getting Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, and down, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday classes. So the class is taught on a Monday or a Wednesday, but not, Jasmine, you see that? So now we don't have, it's also taught on a Tuesday. Ooh. How do we get rid of the Tuesday classes? And not like the other ones? Would we do that as an and?
Didn't realize that was part of the goal.
Well, it is taught on a, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really say that, does it? And that's excellent example of requirements and how you need specific requirements whenever you're messing with this stuff. So we'll call that is taught on a Monday or a Wednesday. And we don't care about the other days. It is taught on a Monday or a Wednesday. Okay, so that's your where clause that gets either one of those. Is that Hunter, Paul? Is there a more elegant way you think to check for Monday or Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, you could, instead of doing or, you could put that into probably just like and. So like that and like this.
We'll try it.
I've seen more ways of doing it. It makes the query more faster, especially as your databases become larger.
Okay.
Yeah, but from a logical standpoint, the or actually makes more sense.
It right, from the logic of the program, because you don't know necessarily what the data is underlying.
Like there are
Oh yeah.
like a class that's only taught on Wednesdays.
Yeah. What I was wondering is if there's a way to do it with the wild card to catch in just one wild card character. Jasmine, you catching up? You keeping up with all this? This is your
Yeah,
is there a wild card character that would catch all of the M's and W's, like M percent sign W percent sign percent sign? So would that work?
I forgot how I did it.
Well, that's not the point. The point is to struggle in person in public.
No, I'll just give you the answer that I put on it, but I can't remember what.
Hey, look at that. We got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we don't have any TRs. Let me open up another real quick here. CSEC day, right? Why is that not popping up? Okay, so this is our distinct. Yeah, it's either a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a Tuesday, Thursday, or an every day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So those are your distinct values in CSEC day. Just wanted to confirm that. So we'll kill that. Don't save. Go back here. And that wild card pulled only CSEC days that have an M in them or a W in them. Because and it works because of the way our data is constructed. I don't know that would necessarily be appropriate. You would probably need separate or statements, but that works. So now let's move on to the next chunk of this, Jasmine. Okay, so that gets us the student last name and the day of the course and the name of the term. But we want to do a join. So let's do, we want to join, do we have a, yeah, we've got an enrollment issue here, don't we? Right? Because that's how we know. So even we can put that and it won't affect anything. We're not selecting anything from enrollment. So it just kind of ignores it. If you put a table in and you don't select something from it, it just kind of ignores it. But there, now we've got the enrollment table there. So we're wanting to do like a triple join here, aren't we? It seems like. So let's do one. I'm going to do the join first. So we want to move this down to an and I want to say where student, student dot SID. Somebody stop me if you see me heading for a cliff. Equals enrollment dot, I believe enrollment has SID. Yes, equals enrollment dot SID. And what's the next one? CSEC and course section dot CSEC ID equals dot CSEC ID, and there's going to be a term ID in here, and enrollment's got a term ID, right? Yeah, and enrollment equals term term ID. So that joins our tables, and we got a where clause. Let's see what we get there. If it just explodes. Enrollment.term ID. I got to have something wrong here. Enrollment. What was I thinking? Is it a course section that has the term ID? Yeah, it's course section, not enrollment. Course section term ID. Now let's see what else. Let's see if I can blow this up again. Oh, there it is. Okay, so did we do it all? Do we have display distinct student last name? So we don't have a distinct in here anywhere yet. Distinct student last name. So we blew that. We got Miller in here twice, taking a class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and couple of different terms here. So let me see if just throwing the distinct up here fixes that. Yes, that got rid of the redundant spring 2007. Let me get rid of that again and run it again. So we got Miller on redundant classes here in the spring of 2007, redundant Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. And what else we probably got? Yeah, and Black is redundant down here, summer 2007. Sanchez has duplicated records, duplicated courses down here. So if we put the distinct in here and rerun it, now we have only one occurrence of the last name and a combination of class day or course section day and a term. I think that's it. Can I put this in the chat for you, Jasmine?
Oh, I was following along and I have it.
Oh, we're
Thank you.
well, groovy.
I appreciate it.
Sure. So that I mean, you guys, that's about and with help. Thank you very much from Paul and Hunter. That's how I do it. I just kind of build it, and don't be afraid to try it as you're building it. And same goes with Python. And if it bombs, turn it in and paste it into the assignment and let me look at it. Staring at the blank assignment in course ID or in the classroom, I'm starting to panic, guys, when you don't turn something in at the time that I've asked you to. I really do. I get a sense of panic. I'm asking you professionally and personally to turn something in. Don't have any blanks in the classroom. Absolutely, as soon as you can rectify that. And if there's problems with it, I'll check it out. I'll get in touch with you, or I've replied in the feedback a couple of times. How I would have done something a little bit different or whatever. So, okay. Well, now, Jasmine, was that helpful?
Yes, that was very helpful.
I mean, and rather than just giving you the answer and having you paste it into your assignment, was watching the process helpful or not?
No, yeah, it was very helpful. It was good to see kind of how you approach the problem. Because
Okay.
sometimes I don't know where to start. So that was good to see the process you take.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't blame. I mean, stumbling in public is never going to be comfortable, but I do it so often that I guess I'm used to failing in public. So, all right. Did Jim ever show back up?
I did, sir.
Yay. You were detained momentarily, I believe.
I was detained by the wife creature in the
Ah!
other room.
Well, that takes precedence over me, buddy. What?
Exactly.
All right. Stump the chump, man. What can I help? What can I work on with you?
Man, I have no idea. I have so many things running through my head right now. I can't form a cogent thought.
Oh, you got to start with something. Something.
What?
I say you got to give me something. Anything.
I really don't know what I could ask.
Are there any of, like we just did for Jasmine? That was number 11, by the way.
Uh-huh.
In are there any of them in particular that are giving you trouble? I can do one off the homework.
And we're gonna have to have a talk about that whole thing. There's nothing that's super complicated, I don't think. But I'm gonna be tempted to think about it for a minute.
Okay. Who's next? Hampton.
Hey, okay, so what about retrieving first name, last name, date of birth, and then for birthdays in December?
Okay. Is that one of the problems?
No, it's not. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. Let me, but I gotta take some notes. Hang on just a sec.
I can pick one from the homework if you'd prefer that.
No. I love it. Impromptu. So I'm gonna create a comment that is the instructions. So retrieve what were the fields you wanted to look at? Or
First name, last name, and then I'm guessing we would need to do all date of births before we selected, just December birthdays.
no, you just tell me in English what you want to see and then give me the criteria after that. So you want to see first name, last name, and date of birth?
Yes.
Okay. And then the criteria.
And then the criteria would be ones that fall within December.
For folks born in December.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In my last job, I had to pull a lot of reports for birthday emails and whatnot. So I think it would be cool to see,
Sure.
see it this way.
Hey, we're just having fun here. This is great. Okay, so there's a blank comment. So I know I want to select. We'll start with my select. And I tried, guys, over the break, I tried to find a succinct graphic that shows, select, from, where, order by, group by, having, these different clauses. And I couldn't find one. It's almost like they expect you to just know it intuitively. But if you get them wrong, if you select something where and then from the table, it'll barf on you. So I don't know why no one has published a graphic that shows these different major keywords in the order that they've got to be in. So anyway, all right. Selecting. So I know that's student underscore first and student underscore last. And I'll go over to the student table and drop down my columns. And if it's not S underscore DOB, they got a naming convention problem. S underscore DOB, which is different than D underscore SOB. So don't get those backwards. Boom, boom. Okay, so that's what you want to display, right?
Yes.
All right, select that. And then, of course, our next is the table from student. Okay, now the magic happens in the where clause. Where DOB is in December.
Mhm.
That didn't work. So let me go see. Let me get a blank here and select S underscore DOB from students to see what I'm dealing with here. I don't remember for sure the format. Okay, so we've got a date field, and we do have one person in December. So as a programmer, my first inclination is to use a function where I don't have to rely on my own logic. Like we could theoretically pull character 6 and 7 out of there and like it's a string, like it's a literal, a string data type. But my first inclination is to use a function. So I would want to go back to our main query. I would want to go back here and say where DOB, some function of DOB, like date extract. I know that's not it. I'm just kind of date extract of DOB is December equals December. So that's my first inclination. Now we could do it, I believe. We could substring DOB, substr. That's how we string slice DOB and say, starting with the, so you get the years for the dash, starting with the 6th character, 2 characters. I think if we said equals 12, I think you can substring a date. You may need to convert the date to a string, but let me see what we got here. Unknown DOB. It's S underscore DOB. That's the other thing, is keep an eye on your error messages down there. Can't live without it. Just because you hit return. So we're S underscore DOB, that equals that. Yeah, there you go. So you can substring a date and look for a month like that.
Okay.
But I want to say what is slicker is, let me go back out to the Google here. And I want to say that somebody talking, go ahead.
It's in that column is a date data type, right?
I believe so. Let me, we'll go look.
Then you should just be able to use a function called month, and it'll actually throw out the month for you.
There you go. And that's what I was going to go Google. And you went and ruined it, Hunter. Was that Hunter?
Yeah.
There you go. So that is the MySQL function to extract, just like we extracted day of the, what day were they born on? It's the same idea. So we're going to pull the month, and does it return a string, Hunter, or a numeric?
Should return a number.
A number, like a numeric. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
numeric.
see. We will see. Where month, and that month function takes a date field and extracts the month out of it. So, hey, there we go. And
Okay.
that to me is the most elegant way to go about it. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Hunter.
Thank you.
Sure thing, Hampton. All right, let's do one more, and then I'm dry. Let's do one more. Who can I pick on? Who is most not wanting to be called upon? I don't think any of you. I think I've already picked on the 3 that don't want to be called on. What do you say, Colton? what might be interesting to round out the day?
If I was gonna do anything, I would do just kind of going over the difference between the joins again. I think that's what I struggle with the most.
Okay, well, let me see. Like so, like a left join or an outer or a right outer join.
Yep.
Yeah, you would pick my worst thing. I don't blame you. Let me think. So let me think. So we've got, let's try and do something with course, section, and location. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, buddy. What I'm afraid that's going to take me too long to do anything meaningful for you. Anything less? Anything less complicated? I'm trying to think of where the like well, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's select course section ID. No, let's get course ID. We'll mess around here with where the buildings that a course is taught at. Nah, see, that's going to be an inner join. That's just going to be a normal table join. Dude, I would have to if you really want to look at something like that, or is that W3 schools, if we left join and right join, it's got a section on it, including the theoretical context of it. So, I mean, we can play around with these if that would help.
I think I've done most of these before, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
In SQL, we use W3 a lot.
Ah, well, there you go. Well, you have stumped the chump. I would need to really go through and look at something that would show the example where where the left join, it's okay to have nulls in the right table, but not in the left, and vice versa for the right. I'd have to to do some thinking, and I don't have anything off the top of my head. We could do like a complicated inner join on everything, and create a CSV table and export it into Excel.
I mean, I'd be down for that. I'm kind of, I don't really have any crazy questions or anything I'm struggling with.
Yeah, I didn't think so. You're doing fine with assignments and everything. So let's pull everything we can think of about students and the courses they're enrolled in, and make sure that you guys know how to export that into Excel. I'm trying to think of anything, so, and I'll mix in as much as I can with it here. So remember to put two fields together. We concat, right? So let's concat S first with a space and S last. Did I leave anybody out that really had something that, no kidding, before I just goof around for 10 minutes? Did anybody really want me to tackle one of the homework programs again, or? No, okay. All right. So we got our student, and let's do their DOB. And what else do we have in the student table that might lead us to link something out? So we got a faculty advisor. So let's get their advisor f underscore last, which is in the faculty table. So we'll have to figure that out. A join. And what classes they're enrolled in, which will be course, the course name in the courses column. Course column is course underscore name. So we're going to get a CSV file that shows the student's name, their date of birth, their faculty advisor, and the courses that they are enrolled in. Course underscore name. Okay, so that's selecting stuff from multiple tables. So we know now we got to make sure we get every table that we are selecting, or if there was a linking condition, a joining condition, we would need to make sure we put that in the from clause as well. From, we know we got student, and we got faculty, and we got enrollment, and we got course. Course, yes. Okay. I don't know that I left anything out that is going to be needed to join. And then, you know me, I like the good old fashioned inner join, where let's say student dot SID equals no, you got to join faculty ID, where student dot FID equals faculty dot FID, which is actually like their employee number. And then what else do we have to join here? We got to join the student with the enrollment table, with the courses they're enrolled in, and where and student dot SID. So the student's ID itself equals the enrollment dot SID. Thank you for the pick list workbench. And then we know we got to go get the course name from the course table, which is linked to enrollment by course ID is linked to course ID, which is in the, is it in the enrollment table, or is I'm trying to see if it's not, it's in the course section table, where we got to add course section up here. And what did we say? And course section dot course ID equals course dot course ID. And there's one more, right? What am I missing here, Hunter? There's one join I'm missing.
Honestly, I'm having a little trouble remembering exactly what our end goal is.
We're selecting. Well, you see what the columns that are up in the select. So
Mhm.
basically, that's what I want to display. But I want to say
Oh.
that .s_id. I think we got a link enrollment and nope, we already did that. Did I get everything? Let me let's see what we get here. Boom. DOB. Of course, it's S_DOB. That can't be the only thing I did wrong. So Sarah Miller. Yeah, we got to do a distinct in here somewhere. Okay, so that gets us the student and the date of birth, and of course it repeats, which is okay if we're going to use this in a CSV file. That's what I was trying to get at. Is the another example of querying up interesting stuff that you are then going to save as a data file to be used either in Power BI or Python or Excel. So here we have like the date of birth repeats because we've got Sarah Miller with every class she's enrolled in. Her faculty advisor and date of birth never change because that's associated with her name, but the courses that she's enrolled in will be different. So this is creating, a multi-column whatever CSV that you could then export and pull into Excel, and then pivot it or whatever. I don't know that was interesting or anything at all. It still seems like we're missing a join or something like that, but I don't think so. Or the where clause, because we're not limiting it by term, which we could put in the where clause. We could add, all we have are join conditions. We don't have any selection criteria in the where clause. Anyway, all right, guys. Like I said, if there's a blank in either Python or SQL, turn something in for me. I'm giving you back an hour and 15 minutes. Turn something into the classroom for me. And then next week, we're going to cover a little bit of Python that I wanted to make sure that we're pretty much all caught up with basic data types and control structures. And I wanted to begin looking at these data frame things, transitioning from SQL to then looking at those data frames makes a lot of sense because it's all just columns and rows. And then we will break for Christmas. So next week is it for the year. And then when we come back, we'll start off with a 2-week Power BI data visualization, data dashboard reporting course. Finish up with a little more Python, and then you run into your project time. Okay. Any questions, concerns? Everybody got to be here next week?
I will be here next week, but next Thursday we have our work Christmas party during the day.
Woohoo!
So I might have to get off a little bit early, but I'll be on for the most part.